You know, I was gonna record this video tomorrow, but literally within 5 minutes, three offseason signings occurred. Devontae Adams went to the Rams. We had Aaron Jones go to the Vikings returning, and Harold Landry went to the Patriots. So, hey, my name is Frankie, and today we're gonna frank around and find out some of my biggest free agency predictions and splashes that teams are going to make. Cue it! Before we get into this video, I just want to make sure everybody subscribes to the YouTube channel. As you know, I am a new and upcoming channel, and the best way to show support is to subscribe. So with that being said, let's get into some of my big free agency predictions, starting with Sam Darnold going to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, as we know, the Seahawks did trade quarterback Geno Smith to the Raiders on Friday for a third-round pick, and to me, I think Sam Darnold would be the perfect replacement for Geno Smith. Darnold, who is 27 years old, is coming off a career year with the Vikings and is due for a payday. And one of the disputes that the Seahawks had with Geno Smith, who is now 34, was that they didn't want to pay the guy, and rightfully so. To me, I think if you were to pay Geno Smith over a guy like Darnold, who is much younger, it just wouldn't make any sense to me. And so I think trading Geno Smith, getting a third round for him, is a very good haul, honestly. And the replacement of Geno Smith by Sam Darnold would be a smooth transition. Both have very similar play styles, being able to use their legs when they have to and being able to throw the ball accurately within the pocket. So again, like I said, it would make perfect sense for the Raiders and Seahawks in their respective circumstances. Staying in the quarterback market, my next bold prediction, some might say, is that quarterback Russell Wilson will be landing with the Cleveland Browns. Now, before you start raising your pitchforks and throwing fires at me, let me explain why I'm saying this. With both top quarterbacks being Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders in the NFL draft, a quarterback that shares the similar style play to those guys is quarterback Russell Wilson. Russ could easily take over the Cleveland Browns as a mentor for the quarterback that the Cleveland Browns take. And he'd probably come pretty cheap too, considering his age. Does that mean a guy like Aaron Rodgers isn't an option for the Browns? No, but I think they'd take the younger alternative to Aaron Rodgers. Not only this, but they would probably have to pay Aaron Rodgers a little more than they would have to pay Russell Wilson. And yeah, they can't really afford him considering their cap situation right now. Which ultimately brings me to the conclusion that Russell Wilson will be a Brown. Oh yeah, and as I'm recording this, the Steelers just traded for DK Metcalf and gave him a 5-year, $150 million contract. So, yeah, congrats, DK. Way to ruin my prediction of you going to the Patriots. So you know what, Patriots? You're going to sign the other wide receiver from Seattle, as Tyler Lockett is going to go to the Patriots. Yeah, no, this is no DK Metcalf, but it's a weapon for Drake May nonetheless, and they need a wide receiver upgrade now. Not only this, but you probably wouldn't have to sign him for that much, and it would save room for your next wide receiver trade, T. Higgins. Now, listen. Okay, look, I know the Bengals have already tagged him, but I want to give you a little example of why this tag shouldn't be a score settler for the Bengals and why Bengals fans should still fear that he is going to be traded. In March of 2019, the Cleveland Browns traded for the newly extended Odell Beckham Jr. after their owner clearly stated that they were not going to trade him and had no plans to trade him. Well, look where he ended up. He ended up on Cleveland after being signed to an extension. Not only this, but tag and trades are possible. And I think the Patriots, now seeing DK Metcalf going to the Steelers, will shift their focuses to T. Higgins. And this would be a long-term solution for both sides in the future. Higgins would get his money, May would get another weapon, and the Patriots would be one step closer to going back to that championship contender. So Bengals fans, please go easy on me in the comments. Like I said, this is a wild predictions video. And yeah, sorry about the loss of T. Higgins. And now Josh Allen just got paid. Are we serious? Bro, $330 million? He deserves it. Okay, let's get back on track after all this craziness, which is why I'm recording this video now, as I stated. Should the Patriots not get this tag and trade deal done with the Bengals for T. Higgins, I believe that there is a second option, which we're going to talk about right now. And that second option is Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown. Now, this one's a little bit of a reach, so don't give me too much hate, all right? But there have been circulation and speculation about the Patriots inquiring for the wide receiver out of the Eagles. And there was a report that came out that literally said that the Pats will do whatever it takes to get a true number one wide receiver. And the reason I believe that AJ Brown is one of their top targets is because they literally inquired about AJ Brown with the Eagles. Not only this, but the connection between AJ Brown and Mike Vrabel is very, very real and would be another key reason why they would target him after all. Hell, Vrabel even said he wasn't going to trade the guy, which, I mean, they did, but ultimately it wasn't his decision. And I think the decision to trade for AJ Brown would be one that would immensely help the Patriots should they miss out on T. Higgins. Again, like I said, this one feels like a little bit of a reach, but hey, it's a possibility seeing how things are going these days. Hey, we're just a little bit over halfway through the video, and one of the best ways to show that you are enjoying it is to, of course, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. All right, let's get back to some predictions, shall we? Now, earlier this offseason, the LA Rams granted permission for wide receiver Cooper Kupp to seek a trade, and I believe that he will indeed be traded this offseason. They've made it known to him that they want to move on, and with the new acquisition of Davante Adams, I think that the trade is inevitable at this point, and I believe that he will be traded to one of Davante's old teams, the Green Bay Packers. Earlier this offseason, more specifically in February, running back Josh Jacobs for the Green Bay Packers stated that the Packers need to get themselves a number one receiver. And to me, I believe that Cooper Kupp could serve as that number one option and a mentor for that young wide receiver core there in Green Bay. Now, with 2 years still remaining on his contract, the Green Bay Packers would have to pick up Coop's contract, but they got the cap space to do it. Around $42 million, I believe, is the number. And I think that would be more than enough to get them enough money to sign and rework Cooper Kupp's contract. Now, Cooper Kupp is coming off of a little bit of an off year for himself due to injury, but I don't see this affecting his stock. And with the wide receiver market dwindling as we see some of the top wide receivers getting traded to different destinations, the Green Bay Packers most likely would be a top suitor to pull the trigger and ultimately sign Cooper Kupp and trade for him as well. Man, that's a lot of offensive players we've talked about. Let's go ahead and take a step and switch over to the defensive side of the ball. Now, to me, one of the biggest shocks in this offseason has been the release of Joey Bosa from the Chargers. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I want to see him end up on the 49ers. So you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to predict that Joey Bosa is going to go to the 49ers and line up opposite of his brother Nick. And considering who they have right now opposite of Nick Bosa, Leonard Floyd, who is 32 years old, Joey Bosa would actually be a younger replacement, so this makes even more sense. If they don't plan to start Joey Bosa, if anything, they could just bring him in as a mentor for who they ultimately will draft, should they decide to go the edge rusher position, and there's a deep class of them, so I can see it happening considering the 49ers do need some young help at edge rusher. Again, like I said, this is just something that I want to see happen, but honestly, it makes sense, so yeah. Why couldn't it happen? Now, I've talked a lot about players getting moved to different teams, but you know what? I think I'm going to take a break, and we're going to have one player stay with his team, and that is quarterback Justin Fields staying with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In his first 5 games, he had 5 touchdowns and 1 interception passing, and even started out with a 4-1 record. The Steelers were good with Justin Fields, and the fact that they benched him honestly kind of shocked me and a lot of people too. I get that they paid Russell Wilson, but when you're winning with the quarterback, it doesn't make sense to bench him, and I do believe that in this offseason, with Russell Wilson's age, they will move on from him and ultimately sign Justin Fields back to be their starter. And like I said, with age being a concern, I do believe that they will stay away from this certain quarterback who, one second, the Giants will ultimately sign Aaron Rodgers. Yep, Aaron Rodgers. I believe that the Giants will indeed sign him, and this is for multiple reasons. Number one, you probably won't have to pay the guy all that much considering his age, and he's already living in New Jersey, and if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I probably won't want to go through the entire moving process again. So the transition from the New York Jets to the New York Giants would be one that is pretty easy, and the fact that the Giants aren't all that good could give Aaron Rodgers a reason to go simply due to the fact that he might want to be the reason that the Giants become good and take all of that success for himself. Oh yeah, and not to mention the Giants and Aaron Rodgers camp have mutual interest in joining forces, so yeah, there's also that as well. Oh yeah, and a report today that the Giants and Aaron Rodgers have had talks just recently surfaced, and per Mike Garafolo, He believes that he will know the fate of Aaron Rodgers by the time the free agency period, which at the time I'm recording this is tomorrow, but it will be today. So, yeah, I guess we're gonna see if my prediction is right after all. Well, folks, we've made it. That's the end of this prediction video. If you agreed with them, which I'm gonna be honest, probably a lot of you guys didn't, make sure you let me know in the comments down below either way. And if you liked the video and believe that some of my predictions might come true, please go ahead and leave a like on this video. And of course, subscribe to the channel. And again, my name is Frankie, and I hope that I've helped you frank around and find out a little more about some of my big free agent splashes and predictions for this off season. See you in the next one.